The Biden family Christmas photo is weird. The murder rate takes a rather stunning turn, and e pluribus unum. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Happy Friday. Yep, it's Friday. Christmas Day is over. It's done. This is what the British and a lot of other former colonies call Boxing Day. I don't exactly know about Boxing Day, except that I've heard where you took all your leftover food from your Christmas feast and gifts that were not wanted or something, and you boxed them up and you gave them to your servants. Hence Boxing Day. I don't know. That's what I heard. Believe it if you want. Marilyn, talk about last minute. Hope we all had a blessed Christmas. Good morning. Praise the Lord. Be blessed. Yes, indeed. We did. We had a good Christmas day. We took the day off from our broadcast and popped in again here for a Friday edition. Oh, man. There's not so much going on because, of course, the holidays and the Friday and all that stuff, but there is some stuff to talk about, and we will be doing that. What else have we got? Let me just double check on our broadcasts here and make sure everything is going the way it ought to be. So far, looking okay. We are live on X, we are live on Rumble, of course, and we are live on YouTube. The Jay Sheldon Show on YouTube. Check it out. We're over there. Check out our live playlist, and you should see our live broadcast there. I hope. But it just like everything around here, things come and they go. So whether or not that's going to happen, we'll wait and see. All right, the Biden family Christmas photo. Yeah, it's weird. Joe Biden, or whoever is running his social media, because I can guarantee you it ain't Joe Biden, posted a photo of his family, the Biden family Christmas photo. But folks on social media right away started sensing a little issue. Appeared to be a real problem with the photo in front of a tree and exactly how it depicted Joe Biden. He posted on his Joe Biden account, wishing you a peaceful and joyous Christmas Eve filled with love. Now, the photo, which I'll show you in a moment, features prominently Hunter Biden right in the center with his young son Beau right in front of him. Jill Biden, her daughter Ashley, on either side of Hunter. 3 daughters by the first wife in the back row. You getting the idea here? Have I mentioned Joe yet? No? Yeah, exactly. There in the back, in frankly what I think looks an awful lot like a Photoshop job, is the former president of the United States. Buried in the back, half of his face being blocked by Jill, Dr. Jill. Look at that photo. Look at him. And honestly, I've seen a lot of Photoshop work. Frankly, I got questions. That's weird. Plus, you know, if you put him behind somebody, you've got less outline to have to try and hide that it's a Photoshop job. Honestly, I've looked at this in close-up, and the hairline, the top of his suit, the edge of his pants coming down, it's just, it makes me go, something ain't right. But that's the post from good old Joe Biden. The person you could barely see in that picture, the person you might think, having been a former president of the United States, might be a little prominent in the picture. He's in the back row, half hidden by his wife, Jill, barely visible. Some people thought it had to be Photoshopped. Frankly, I'm just going to say, in my opinion, it looks Photoshopped. Others thought it was a statement made by the Where's Waldo jokes. Hard pass posts on X. His family buried him in the back of the Christmas photo and then posted it on his own account. Absolute savages. Corey Inganamort from Town Hall said, this photo equivalent of a 10-second video with 8 jump cuts. It does seem like a really weird place to put Joe. But if nothing else, it's consistent. Even when Joe Biden appeared in the Oval Office, essentially, most of the time, he was missing. Compare and contrast this with President Trump, constantly available to the press, always engaging with reporters, always, not afraid. Joe Biden's staff, meanwhile, seemed to always be trying to hide him from the press. I know we'd like to forget that Biden ever stepped foot in the Oval Office, but you'd think his family might put him in the front row, maybe like dead center. Here's the patriarch of the family, the former president of the United States. I mean, any Photoshop, not Photoshop, it's just weird. You see this other, look at this photo. Here's another one. I think it's at Biden's home. Take a look at exactly how disjointed Joe looks in this photo. Stuffed in the back, sticking up above. And again, it's a good job if it is, but this really almost, he seems just so out of place. Something is odd. Something just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. By the way, just a note of who else is missing there. Navy Joan Roberts, Hunter's other child out of wedlock by Loudon Roberts, not there. Biden seemed to have problems even acknowledging the existence of this granddaughter, Navy Roberts, to begin with. And then even after he did that, he seemed very eager to forget all about her again. He was not including her in the count last year. It is certainly going to be a more peaceful Christmas season now that Joe Biden is no longer in the office. We have a leader who is actually in charge. But man, this photo, there is just so many questions. And I'm telling you, the more I look at that shot, the more that even the focus isn't right. You know, we have things in camera work called depth of field, and that's how much of a shot is in focus. And if you look at the lighting and the focus of everybody else in this picture, it all looks fairly even. The focus looks fairly even. The lighting looks natural. And then you look at the half-hidden Joe Biden behind. And look at the difference. The lighting, the focus. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. And of course, that would beg the question, where's Joe? You know, if it wasn't for this stuff, we'd have nothing to talk about. Except Illinois, where good old Governor J.B. Pritzker may be celebrating just a little bit too fast. The Bush administration alumni, could we please, hang on, I gotta get this thing straightened out. All right, here we go. We'll get there, okay? Bear with me. Bush administration alumni says don't pop the cork on the champagne just yet. He's warning J.B. Pritzker over the SCOTUS National Guard decision. The U.S. Supreme Court Tuesday refused to stay a lower court's ruling that blocked Trump from deploying National Guard troops in Illinois. Justice Samuel Alito issued a blistering dissent, saying essentially that the courts were hindering the Trump administration from protecting federal officers. Now, the Supreme Court refused to stay a lower court's order that blocked the Trump admin from deploying National Guard troops in Illinois. A lot of conservatives absolutely outraged over this, of course, complaining since the advent of Trump's 2.0, judges have at all levels been doing everything in their power to simply try and kneecap his agenda. It's been obvious. Come on, how many stories have we done about it? Well, not this time. One person not amused by the actions was a Supreme Court justice himself, Samuel Alito. His dissent on the case doesn't mince words about his disappointment and displeasure with what he sees as unwise and imprudent determinations made by the 6-3 majority. In addition, Alito, not one known to hold back on his opinions, that's for sure, thought it was improperly took the power from the executive branch. Here's what he wrote. The majority also did not give enough deference to Trump after the president found that agitators were hindering immigration officers and other federal personnel from doing their jobs in Chicago, and the National Guard needed to step in to help. Whatever one may think about the current admin, enforcement of the immigration laws, or the way ICE has conducted their operations, the protection of federal officers from potentially lethal attacks should not be thwarted. That from Samuel Alito, Supreme Court Justice. And boy, is he right. Man, a Shevitz. Absolute. So, Pritzker, not so fast on popping the champagne cork, okay? You might just want to cool your jets for a little bit. Ay, Manischewitz. All right. Couple of amusing little pieces here, including the White House going full Christmas vacation. Remember that Chevy Chase movie, Christmas Vacation? It was fantastic. Anyway, before we talk about that, let's talk about our favorite coffee that we have every morning here on the show, and that's Blackout Coffee. Blackout coffee, the good stuff. Got some right here. Pitch black espresso. Oh, man. Yeah, just the kick in the ass I and probably you need to start your day the right way. Full-bodied, full-flavored, never ever bitter. Blackout coffee, absolutely the king of coffees. You got to check them out. And note, by the way, that when you support this company, you're not only supporting this show, but you are supporting a company that is 100% conservative American values. They believe in the First and Second Amendment, truly, and they prove it. They don't donate to causes that are on the left or any DEI crap, any kind of that kind of thing. They are a conservative company that cares about the right to life, the freedom of religion, military, our first responders. These are the folks you want to put your pocketbook behind, and we hope that you will. There is a link right down there in the show notes towards the top. It's easy to find for Blackout Coffee. Head over there, get yourself a bag, flavored coffees, pods. Some of the more popular bean roasts are also available pre-ground, so that solves that problem. They've got the flavored coffees are incredible. I was never a fan of flavored coffee until Blackout Coffee. You got to taste this stuff. It's amazing. Use the link in our show notes and use the code J20 at checkout for 20% off your first order. 20% off the first order with the code J20. And they're always having sales there. You'd be amazed. You go over there, you check them out. Even if you're a repeat customer, A, use that link still so we get the credit for your visit. And B, check out the specials. There's always something special going on there at Blackout Coffee. Thank you, John and the gang at Blackout. We appreciate you helping to support the show. Means a lot, really does. All right. Funny story. The White House has gone full Christmas vacation. Cousin Eddie provides a rather hilarious response. If you're like me, there is nothing that puts you in that Christmas spirit than the Christmas movies on television. Well, now it's online. And I watched them again this year. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the animated one. Silver and Gold, remember that? Burl Ives. A Charlie Brown Christmas, just watched that yesterday, Christmas Day. It was fantastic to watch that again. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. They are perpetually on TV and on the internet around this time of year. A Christmas Story, which is almost an obligation to view. I always like how they end up at the Chinese restaurant for the Christmas turkey. After the bumpus dog grabs the real turkey and the Chinese owner chops off the head of the duck. It's the one thing I haven't watched yet is Home Alone, which is a Christmas movie. In fact, President Trump is in the original Home Alone. Timeless classics, Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th Street. There's just such a menu out there. Another one that is really required viewing is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation with the Griswold family. A real-life Clark Griswold and a Grinchy HOA. Apparently, the White House also has fans of that movie because they posted a picture, a message, I should say, because it's a video too, wishing people a Merry Christmas and Make America Great Again with the Griswold theme. No, I'm not kidding. I'm going to play it for you right now. You're going to want to watch. Here we go. How about that? I love it. Oh, man. The White House is certainly on top of things. People loved it. One of the things that made it even funnier was that Cousin Eddie put out a response. One of the key actors and humor of the film, the man who played Cousin Eddie is Randy Quaid, the older brother of Reagan actor Dennis Quaid. Randy is a Trump supporter through and through, and he posted this meme about one of the more hilarious moments in the movie. Let's see if we can, there we go, I'll bring that up. Check it out. Randy Quaid actually posted this, and that's him in the Christmas Vacation film from National Lampoon. Say whatever you want about Cousin Eddie, but I don't see anybody else standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, man. That is great. Now, one of the great things about the movie we all know we have to deal with is relatives. Hopefully that's now in the past. They didn't stay too long, came over for some presents and some food. But that scene, that scene uh, is amazing, to say the least. Can we get out of that mode? Thank you. All right. I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm going to play it anyway because it's just too much fun not to. Oh, man. The White House is rocking it this Christmas. Now, you compare that to what we had before. Oh, yeah. Anybody forget this marvelous troll from some half-wit who spoke to Joe and Jill Biden during the Christmas call in 2021? Or that lovely, whatever that was, dancing transvestite in the White House through that god-awful Christmas decorations? The man said, "Let's go, Brandon." Remember that? Right directly to the Bidens, Joe and Jill. Joe Biden completely clueless as to what that meant. No idea he'd been punked. His wife Jill knew, which is, you could certainly see that look on her face. However, she knew enough to maintain her composure. She is a composure. After all, she is a doctor. Man, we are just so much better off now. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. Why not? I love it when these things happen. Do you remember about a week ago, maybe less? No, actually, it was this week. We talked about that spiking of the 60 Minutes story where the producer or executive producer refused to run it because they hadn't gotten enough word or comments from the other side, or even offered the other side to make a comment. Well, among disgusting takes on disgusting takes, this one on the spiking of the 60 Minutes story shows that the Democrats have truly lost their minds and gone completely off the rails. Been a lot of bad reaction to editor-in-chief Barry Weiss pulling that 60 Minutes story about illegal aliens, CICOT, prison in El Salvador. Now, bear in mind that she was not going to run the story. She wasn't not going to run the story. She just wanted it done, wanted more done, before she ran it for the public to see. Perfectly legit. Including a current comment from the admin in the story, which they didn't do. Now, indeed, they had 3 different comments from the Department of Homeland Security, the State Department, and the White House, but they didn't include them in the story. The folks on the left just didn't care. They didn't care. The concerns seemed like legitimate editorial concerns. Perhaps one of the worst responses came from this idiot Julie Roginski. She's a former Democrat strategist, appears on Fox News now and then. And now she's got her own Substack newsletter. Don't bother, okay? I'll save you some time. She actually compared the editor-in-chief's action to Dachau, the infamous World War II concentration camp. Take a look at what she posted on X. This is disgusting. Look at that. Julie Roginski. That is her X post. Her visible Substack portion of her article expanded on that little picture a little bit. I obviously don't subscribe because, I value where I put my money. But here's what's written. If escaped inmates from Dachau had staggered into a newsroom in 1930s Berlin, starved, beaten, carrying testimony of a system designed to disappear human beings, the most dangerous person in that room would not have been the regime's censor. It would have been the editor, who smiled sympathetically, took notes, and promised serious consideration, and then quietly killed the story under the pressure that it didn't present both sides of the concentration camp's debacle. She writes, that editor in today's America media landscape has a name, Barry Weiss. What? So, asking reporters, God forbid, to actually do their job and make their pieces better, that's censorship? Oh, and Dachau? Can we talk about exactly how unhinged that is? First, this is completely minimizing what actually happened at Dachau. Illegal aliens sent to prison is not the equivalent of innocent Jews being sent to their deaths, okay? Comparison is disgusting, especially when targeted at Jewish women like Barry Weiss. Yes, of course, she is Jewish. She even included a picture of the concentration camp. You saw it there, with Weiss's picture superimposed over top. Why is it that some people on the left cannot argue a point about anything without defaulting to Nazis and Hitler? It just shows their argument has no wind in it right from the start. They go there all the time, and it's the first place they go because they got nothing else. She's been getting ratioed to the moon, and she hasn't pulled the post. So apparently she has no shame, doesn't care. She also had this bad take about Barry Weiss' memo to the staff demanding more work on the story. She said she tracked down the number for the staff to contact Trump officials, Stephen Miller or Tom Homan, for comment. They say they weren't shy about offering comments. Yeah, although journalists at 60 Minutes could not track down the numbers, which is exactly Weiss's point. Where is the Trump administration's comment? Because it wouldn't take a lot to get it, but they didn't put it in the story. Oh, and if you're talking about a newsroom in Berlin in the 1930s, chances are Weiss would not have been there because she would have been purged out for being Jewish. And they really didn't like people who would challenge their narrative. So this moron, Roginski, The post is still up on our Substack. Absolutely disgusting. But there you go. That's the left for you. They go there all the time. They never stop. Unbelievable. Have you been murdered lately? Well, guess what? Your chances are lower. Let's call it the Trump effect. The murder rate in America has taken a stunning turn. Now, look, whether you're a fan of Donald Trump or not, one thing that you absolutely cannot argue about is the president's first year of his second term has been hugely consequential. Extremely consequential. His admin having an effect on virtually every single one of us walks of life, social issues, economics, immigration, both legal and illegal, by the way. Everything, basically everything, including crime. And on that front, the news could not possibly be better. It is very good, at least when it comes to killings. The U.S. appears headed for the largest one-year drop in murders in history, according to a very well-known crime analyst. Jeff Asher, crime statistics expert, has concluded that, and he says, new national data shows killings have plunged at a pace not seen ever in modern record keeping. Jeez. According to his real-time crime index, the U.S. is on track for the biggest single-year decline in murders ever recorded, which is a huge reversal after the COVID-era crime surge. Now, in that quote from Newsmax, they used the term COVID-era crime surge. But I think the better name would probably be the lawless Biden-era crime surge. Unbelievable. Can we get that in full screen? Here we go. Look at this. This is from this U.S. set to record its biggest single-year decline in murders on record. Number 1, motor vehicle theft. Number 2, murder, down 19.8%. Then robbery, burglary, property crime, violent crime, theft, rape, and aggravated assault. All of which are down, but when you look at that murder number, man, that's insane. Absolutely crazy. Admin had indicated previously that murder rates were improving. New numbers exactly bolster that claim. Former FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino decided to move on from his position, presumably to return to his role as a rather successful podcaster. He nevertheless likes what he sees. He posted, "This is what happens when you mix a precedent with a vision of safer streets, with a team dedicated to implementing that vision. Talk is cheap, results matter." Bingo, Mr. Bongino. Metropolitan areas, which is where we see the biggest declines, not because of woke George Soros-backed prosecutors, too, obviously. Democratic-appointed judges, criminal-friendly reformative justice, just a revolving door of the legal system in places like New York, L.A. The cities who've been harmed by gun violence have begun to see a steady decline in murders. It is real. Albuquerque, New Mexico, which ranks in the top 10 nationally for per capita murder, experienced a 32.3% decrease in fatalities. Baltimore, another city on the list, 30.9% drop in murders from 2024 to 2025. Atlanta, 26.2% decrease in murders. Birmingham, Alabama, the highest drop at 49%. These are huge numbers in contrast to the leftists' ever-growing tolerance for crime. Seems like they actually love it. They do everything they can to make sure it continues to happen. Trump's taken exactly the opposite tact, of course. FBI, under his watch, got back to fighting criminals instead of school board members and churchgoers. He's also sent, of course, the National Guard into places like D.C., New Orleans to clamp down on violence. And these kind of efforts, those are the results we see from that action. Wow, that is good news. Good news indeed. You got a kid in the school system? Yeah? Could be good, could not be good. In your child's class, if you're allowed to know, do they use AI? Well, you might want to check, because according to a new study, artificial intelligence in the classroom destroys actual intelligence in students. Students have got to aspire to be more than just prompt writers. They need to be capable of thinking. They need to be capable of reasoning, perseverance. I always assumed that before AI destroyed humanity, which it may well do, we would at least maybe put up a little bit of a fight. No. I'm not talking about AI gaining consciousness, physically enslaving us, although certainly not ruling that out. It's possible. But it is alarming how quick many people are just accepting AI, not just in their daily lives, but in the education of their children. That does not sit well, folks. High school teachers, college professors, defending teaching AI usage in the classroom. The technology is not going to go away. Kids have to learn how to use it responsibly, and AI can be a useful tool. Learning how to write the right prompts is a marketable skill. They say we should not only allow, but encourage students to use AI to brainstorm ideas, write outlines, and provide feedback on their work. Now, this may just seem benign. Oh yeah, it's just AI, it's Grok or ChatGPT, it's no big deal. Pushing the idea that AI usage is not only inevitable, oh, it's going to happen, it's coming, so we got to accept it. And they're also pushing the idea that it's all good. There's no downside. You're a writer, a silky tone on an advertisement for AI software singing, even if you're the kind who relies on AI. Okay, so that's not the actual verbiage, but you get the idea of what they're selling here, right? We've been assured that AI can simply be a legitimate tool. Hey, I've told you time and time again, I use it almost daily in my job. Not for this show, occasionally, but for the other work that I do, my regular work. If the goal is just to produce outcomes, you could argue that AI should not be only tolerated, it ought to be encouraged, right? If all your goal is outcomes, not learning anything along the way, then absolutely jump in, put the AI out there. Sparkling essay, gripping short story. The purpose of writing isn't to instruct a prompt. or even produce a quality paper. The purpose of writing is to become a strong thinker, someone who enriches the lives of everyone with your writing, not AI's writing. And yet, they're bringing it into the classroom. A lot of people are arguing that in order to survive in today's and future markets, young people have got to master the skill of writing prompts. Now, if you're as old as I am, although I know about this because I use it, but you may not. With things like Grok and AI, you can have a normal conversation. Hi, how are you? Can you tell me who was the 33rd president of the U.S.? And can you tell me how to make a good baked apple pie? And that kind of thing. It will respond to you. It'll have that conversation with you. You can ask it to research different subjects you want to write about. And in fact, you can ask it to write a short essay or a short story, and it will do a brilliant job of that. And you have not used your writing skills at all, except in how you prompt the AI to respond to you. It takes no writing skills. It takes prompt writing skills. Different thing. People act as if using the internet were a skill that needs years of training. In reality, 3-year-olds naturally become experts. Doesn't take much. Stick a 3, 4, 5-year-old in front of a computer or laptop. Trust me, they'll get there. But they are shoving this down our kids' throats in school, not teaching them to creatively write, to develop outlines and stories and write the full story out. They're teaching them to write AI prompts who will then do the work for them. And where does that lead? You can imagine. Not to a good place, I'm afraid. Not to a good place. E pluribus unum. That means out of many, one. People mistakenly think of the U.S. as a mishmash of different cultures. It's not. The U.S. is a melting pot where everything goes in from all the different cultures and all the different lands and races and people and ideas and concepts and beliefs. And it all gets melted together, melting pot, into something that forms this country. At least that's the way it was designed. That's the way it is supposed to be. Sadly, it don't work that way. Out of the many, one. E pluribus unum. We are one people. We are not a nation of immigrants. E pluribus unum. The U.S. is not for everyone. Okay? There, I said it. Keep the Founding Fathers' vision alive. It's got to be exclusive. We do not open our doors to absolutely everybody and anybody who wants in. You have to go through a process. Despite our march towards electronic money, an important message is still jingling in your pocket every day. E pluribus unum. That Latin phrase, which is stamped on coins, bills, means out of many one, coined in 1776 for the original design of the Great Seal of the United States. Founding fathers wanted to underscore the 13 colonies that came together and formed a single nation. Since then, it's become a symbol of many different people forming one nation. It's a concept so important that the Coinage Act of 1873, Congress required E pluribus unum would be inscribed on every coin we mint, along with In God We Trust. And we ought to take these mottos serious as a heart attack. For whatever your treasure is, there your heart will also be. That is Matthew 6:21. Placing the motto on our money elevates its importance, serves as a reminder in a time where a lot of people seem to have forgotten what it's like to be one. E pluribus unum is a memorial to the collective struggle of the original 13 colonies and the acknowledgement that they shared a culture, traditions, similar concern their rights were being threatened by a tyrannical British crown. And those similarities all brought these people together as a new nation, and it kept them together. The founders mourned the bloody cost of the American Revolution, unwanted tasks they were forced to endure, to establish freedom, hope for prosperity, but defined by their terms, not the British. And what was true then is still true today. The culture, the values behind the Constitution define who we are, and they preserve our freedom. The U.S. is not for people who don't respect it. Out of many, one is not the same as everyone becomes one. We are not open to all comers. It's just that simple. Today, a lot of people have come to the U.S. for the wrong reasons. They expect the U.S. as seen on TV and assume everything is just living on easy street. The word around the globe is that during the Biden administration, we had free food, housing, free health care. If you can get across the border, it's all there waiting for you. Another unwritten message, your criminal enterprise will flourish in our sanctuary cities. You can get away with anything. We will never become one with those who rip off our social services, refuse to assimilate, and yes, I'm looking at not just, but of course, the Somalis, perhaps the most blatant of all. Even if they're granted citizenship or elected to office, how can you call them one of us when they every day are working against our American values? A long time before the inception of entitlements, early Americans built this country. They settled in communities, forged the nation in wagon trains, settled in communities. Wasn't always pretty. There were wars, violent battles with natives, Indian schools, slavery, plenty of heartbreak. We've had our share of very shameful moments building this country. But ultimately, our forefathers built a nation that was a shining example of those who yearn to be free. Doesn't work if most of the newcomers across our borders are just yearning to be freeloaders. There is no way to make that work. Nor does it work if too many come too fast. Their failed culture upsets the proven U.S. culture. Yes, we have one. And they want to take advantage of it. Our foundation built by brave men who knew the value of liberty. They were willing to fight for it. They were willing to fight to the death for it, if need be. But that's not who comes to the U.S. today. Instead of organizing in their home countries, demanding freedom, they just slink across the U.S. border, live in their culture under the cover of our liberty. And that ain't the way it's supposed to work. They're not cut from the same cloth as the founders of this country. And neither are the leftists who want to protect them from being sent back because they won't melt into our culture. 250 years, almost. Not the first time the United States has been tested. But as time passes, we forgot the cost of our freedom. We're going to stand boldly, stand up, and say no. When our liberty is threatened, no. Too many soft Americans are willing to do absolutely nothing but stand idly by and watch. Watch it be taken by those who hate this country. Oh, but they love the sanctuary. E pluribus unum. Out of many, one. But it's not for everyone. A little harsh? Yep. It was meant to be. All right. One more before we go. What happens, you might ask, I can hear you in the background asking, what happens when you drop 2,200 pounds of dry ice into the ocean? I will show you in just a second. It triggers a dramatic physical reaction. Rapid sublinations, this is a bit sciencey. Dry ice, which is a solid CO2 at 108, minus 108 Fahrenheit, instantly sublinates under contact with water, producing negative 8,900,000 something quarts of CO2 gas and a dense fog. Violent bubbling, temperature drop, acidity. You know what? Let's just show you instead of talking about it, because that's much more interesting. Take a look. 2,200 pounds of dry ice. Wow! It's like a nuclear explosion. Holy crap. Play that again? Yeah. Wow. Look at that. That is the answer to the question, what happens when you drop 2,200 pounds of dry ice in the ocean? Oh, man. Weird, huh? Telling you. Okay, folks, we're done. It's the end of a work week. Yes, I know it's a holiday week. New Year's coming up next. We got a lot going on. I hope you will continue to join us. We are live on YouTube, Rumble, and X. Give us a like and a subscribe in all those places, wherever you may find us, including our podcast on Spotify, Apple iTunes, all the podcast platforms. Seek it out. You can listen to the audio part of our show, and we're out there. We hope you will join us. Share it with your friends, share it on your social media, let people know, and of course, hit up our great sponsors, including Blackout Coffee. All right, that's going to do it for another week. Enjoy your weekend, spend it with someone you love, and we'll see you right back here on Monday's edition of The Jay Sheldon Show.